Land conservation was a concept I didn't know about as a kid, but very much interested in wildlife and the outdoors, and that led to an interest in land conservation. I was born in the East Bay, I've grown up in the East Bay, I've lived in the East Bay my entire life. Grew up in El Cerrito, and this was late 50s when I can really start to remember things. And at that time, there was still a lot of undeveloped land around our house. And also there was an area that ultimately became a park in El Cerrito called Hillside Park. And then over the hill from us was Wildcat Canyon, which at that time was a private land, hadn't been acquired by the park district. But for a kid like me, it didn't stop you from going down there and hiking around. I would spend a lot of time hiking the hills, looking for things. At that time, I had a real interest in deer, and in high school, I would go out with a camera and photograph them and try to find them every weekend mornings and things like that. You know, everything that a kid does, catching frogs and snakes and lizards, and I would raise caterpillars up into butterflies. It was just a general interest at that time.
Malcolm's a wildlife guy, and he was able to take those things he was most passionate about in his boyhood and carry them through into his professional life and into his volunteer life. He's been able to protect tens of thousands of acres of land, both professionally and through his volunteer work with Save Mount Diablo. And it's a record that is huge, and it sort of speaks to the fact that he's been doing it professionally for almost 45 years, and he's been doing it with Save Mount Diablo for almost 30 years. And by keeping at it constantly, being persistent, he's made a huge impact on the East Bay.
People need places to get out. They need to be able to hike. They need to be able, just visually, to not feel that they're in a major, completely surrounded by development. It's discouraging to just see, nothing but development. Drive down a freeway and just see buildings and roads. And I think people respond to having open space around them. And then there's the scientific habitat aspects of it, where there's wildlife, there's plants, particularly on Mount Diablo, a real variety, a diversity of species that use it and need large areas in order to survive in the long term.
Just in the time that Malcolm has been working on land conservation, we've tripled the amount of public lands here in the East Bay, and we've quadrupled the amount of protected lands around Mount Diablo. Just around Mount Diablo, we've protected an area bigger than Point Reyes National Seashore, bigger than the Golden Gate National Recreation Area. And this is a national park-sized urban wilderness that we're working on, and he's had a lot to do with it. This is a man who's put in 27 years of volunteer work. That's more than 1,000 meetings at board meetings and committee meetings, hundreds and hundreds of land tours and meetings with developers, thousands of phone calls.
Volunteer work, if you don't enjoy it, what are you doing? Personally, it's very satisfying to see things, the success we've had in protecting land, and know that the habitat values that get protected is occurring. I believe protecting open space for the benefits, the community benefits, and for the habitat benefits is very important. You frequently get the question, if you wear your Save Mount Diablo t-shirt, the bank teller will say, what does it need to be saved from? Why does it need to be saved? Isn't it protected? And the fact is that there's still large portions of the mountain and then areas moving out from it in the foothills that aren't protected and need protection. So our work is nowhere close to being finished.